All right, everyone. Welcome to the channel. Today, as the title says, we're going to be going over a very basic salmon plunking rig. In this particular rig, we're going to be utilizing the spin and glow. I believe these spin and glows are from Yakima Baits out here in Oregon. To begin with, we'll kind of go over the very basic anatomy of this rig, kind of how everything is set up. We'll talk about the function of each of these parts, and then we will go in and try to get this thing tied up. All right, so to begin with, this is going to be very basic, so I'm going to explain basically everything. So right here, we've got what is called the drop line. This is the line that we're going to attach from our weight to our splitter here, and we'll get into that in a moment. And then right here, we've got our leader. Now this leader right here, this is going to be also attached to the spreader, and it's also going to hold our hook, which is a 3/0 Gamakatsu octopus hook, and also our beads here. For this particular setup, I'm using Berkley 20-pound test line, and you can use 30-pound test, 20-pound test. It's basically completely up to you. You're going to want your line a little bit lighter than your main line, which I'll go over right now. The main line is basically the line that is going to go from your rod or your reel to the top of the spreader here. So next we will talk about the splitter. So this right here is basically a splitter. What this does is this center part rotates around, and that allows your spin and glow as you're in the current to kind of raise up from here and get into the strike zone and hopefully hook up with some nice Chinook salmon or whatever you're going for. Also, another function of this splitter is to prevent your line from getting tangled while you're casting. When you cast this setup, it can definitely, depending on how long your leader is, and also your drop line with your pyramid weight, that can create some difficulty, especially when these leaders get really long. This kind of helps keep everything separated, so when you cast out there, you're actually fishing and you don't have a big pile of tangled up mess sitting at the bottom of the river. Oh, and then there is also one other cool function of this splitter. We'll go over that towards the end of the video. Yeah, this one's pretty neat, and we'll talk about that a little bit more. All right, so now we'll talk about the pyramid weight. So the pyramid weight is basically what holds this whole rig to the river floor. This right here is a 6-ounce weight. You can use 8-ounce weight, 10-ounce weight, 12-ounce weight. Ultimately, it just depends on kind of the current, the size of the river, whether or not you're fishing on sandy or rocky bottom. This right here is very important because with this particular plunking rig, we want the entire rig to stay stationary, especially if we've got a lot of people fishing next to us. So making sure that the weight is heavy enough to hold the entire setup to the bottom of the river, that's an extremely important aspect of this rig. Also, we've got the hard beads right here. These beads kind of act as a bearing between the spin and glow and the hook. So when the spin and glow is on the leader and it kind of goes down against the hook here, the beads act as a bearing to allow this spin and glow to spin correctly. Can also, there's a hole on the end here. If the spin and glow rubs against the hook, that can kind of bore that out, or it could also just not even spin at all, and you'd have a glow rather than a spin and glow. And this one doesn't even glow. So, all right, we've got the 3/0 Gamakatsu hook. This is an octopus hook. You can use 4/0, you can use 5/0, 2/0, whatever your preference is. You just want to make sure it's big enough to where it's not going to get bent if you do get that Chinook. And I'm going for springers here shortly, so if you get a big fish, you want to make sure your hook's big enough to where it's not going to get bent, and you'll be able to land your fish. All right, lastly, we'll talk about the main component, and that's the split spin and glow here. This is the bottom, this is the top. So we've got these wings on the side. You see that there? So the way that this basically works is that the current will pick up your spin and glow and kind of raise the bait up into the strike zone. Kind of getting out of the shot there. Bear with me, this is my first ever YouTube video. So this will kind of raise the bait itself up into the strike zone, and this will spin, hence the name spin and glow. The spinning does a few things. It attracts the fish, it kind of creates action, and it also spreads the scent throughout the water and evenly distributes the scent. And also, we've already touched on this, it holds the bait up off the bottom. You don't want your bait sitting on the river bottom floor. That's why it's important not to overbait your hook, but you want to make sure that you've got this particular lure is suspended off the bottom. All right. So we kind of went into the main anatomy of the setup, explained everything and kind of what the function is for each particular part. What we'll do now is we'll kind of get into tying up the rig. The first thing that we're going to work on here is the actual spin and glow. If I can get this line up. So this right here, as we mentioned previously, this is our leader line. So what we'll want to do is tie our leader line to our 3/0 Gamakatsu octopus hook. Now what we're going to use here is a egg loop knot. The egg loop knot is a good knot to use for this particular rig because there are a lot of different variations in the type of bait that we can use. For this particular setup, you can use cured salmon eggs, shrimp, coon shrimp, basically whatever bait you're trying to use. This egg loop knot will basically allow us to secure it to our hook. So the first step here is we're going to want to run our leader through the eye of the hook. If I can get it here. It's a little bit different tying a knot with a camera in your face. So we've got it like this. And we're going to take this line right here and we're going to wrap it around it 6 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. So we're going to want to hold this line with this finger right here. Find the other end of the leader. And then we're going to push it through here the opposite way that we did before. It's a little more complicated when there's a camera right here. And then we're going to hold on to this right here with the rest of this line. Wrap this again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now just kind of hold on to everything, make sure everything stays in place. Pull right here. All right. And there we have our egg loop knot. Perfect. So now that we've got our hooks here secured here, now let's get this little tag end cleaned up a little bit here. And this isn't my prettiest egg loop knot, but I want to get this video in one shot, so we'll keep going. And another thing too is you want to leave a little bit of line here, especially if you're You never know what you're going to get hooked up on. You get hooked up on a big fish. I like to leave a little bit of slack right here. These knots can tighten up, and if this is real close to the rest of your knot and it kind of starts sliding through everything, you can definitely lose whatever you're hooked up to. All right, so now what we'll do is we will put our 2 6mm beads right here. Put these on first. All right. So we've got these right here. Now, with the spin and glow, as we mentioned previously, this is the bottom, this is the top. We want the bottom end to be facing the hook. So we'll run this through the bottom. If I can get it there. What do we got going on? Is that plugged up? Okay, let's go. There we go. Perfect. So we see that. Ooh, that's a sharp hook. That's what I like. See that? That's our spin and glow function right there. That's what attracts the fish. Now this is completely optional. I'm just doing that for this my rig, and you can put as many or as few beads on this as you would like. It's completely up to you. This is your fishing setup. There's no specific science to it. If you look over here, see you've got all different sizes and colors of spin and glow. You never know what's going to work, and it's always good to be prepared and have a few extras on hand. You never know what depth they're going to be biting out, what colors they're going to be looking for. So here is kind of our finished setup. Little spin and glow. Perfect. So now what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to attach the spin and glow to our spreader. So let's take a look at this spreader here one more time. So we kind of went over the function of this. The spreader allows the line to kind of get pulled up, and wherever it kind of the current pulls it, it allows that to, this little arm here allows it to go in whichever direction it needs to go. We want to make sure that this little metal loop right here, this is facing towards the top. This is where our main line is going to go. For my main line, I'm running 40-pound braided high vis. I believe it's also a floating line, but we're going to want to attach our spin and glow right here. And I basically use the fisherman's knot to do that, or the improved cinch knot. That's the knot that I was brought up on. It's the knot that I can tie with my eyes closed. Let's get this screen turned on. Bear with me, this is my first time ever using this GoPro, and the screen keeps shutting off every time I go to do something, so I'm not looking, I can't see what I'm filming. So we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Go like this right here. So I wrapped around 5 times. I left that loop with my pinky and my ring finger. Go through here. Oops, if I can actually get it. Then we'll loop it around here. Okay. Let's get this off screen. All right. So we've got that hooked up right there. Got our improved cinch knot. And let's clip the little tag end of this and leave a little bit of slack, just in case we get that big one, which I hope to. All right. So now we've got that hooked up to our spreader, and there's our leader. We talked about that earlier. The length of the leader is completely up to you. There's our spin and glow that we just tied up, and that's going to get pulled up into the current while the rest of this stays on the bottom. Okay, so now we've got this pyramid weight, and we talked about the function of this. We want this heavy enough to where it's going to prevent our rig from floating down the river. We want it to be stationary. We also don't want it too heavy, depending on the bottom. We don't want to get snagged up all the time. This is why we're going to tie this specific knot to this one. It's basically just going to be a basic overhand knot, and it's going to act as a breaking point in case we get hung up on the bottom. That's just a part of fishing. You're going to get snagged up unless it's all sandy bottom, which I hope to find. Yeah, so we've got our drop line here we talked about. So we're just going to kind of make a loop down here on this end. Okay. We'll loop this around. Oops, let's go like this. Like this. See that? Made a basic loop. Just come through here. Boom. Perfect. So that's going to kind of create that loop there. So what we'll do is we'll take our pyramid weight, run the loop through this end, like so, and then we'll take this end of our drop line, like this. There it is. Let's get this screen turned back on. Perfect. So we created that loop, and that's attached to our drop weight here. And let's get this little tag end off. Boom. Perfect. So next, what we will do is we will attach the weight to our spreader. Right here, and we'll do that improved cinch knot here. One. This is a little. I'm gonna pull this off screen while I'm well. Let's do it like this. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you got that little loop. Whole loop right there. Go through here. Here's where I got to use my teeth. Ooh, almost lost the camera there. All right. Hey, these are the trials and tribulations of shooting a YouTube video. This is my first run ever. Perfect. So there's our drop weight right here, or our drop line. It's attached right here. Then we've got our spinning glow right here. So the basic way that this would work is, here's our spinning glow, or our splitter, pardon me. There's our pyramid weight, which is going to be attached to our drop line, held to the bottom of the river. And here's our leader that holds onto our spinning glow, that basically floats in the river, spins, and draws the fish. Now, as I mentioned previously, this is kind of a unique spreader that I've got going on here. This has a little scent tube right here that you can inject different scents into. And right here is some nectar that I plan on putting into here. This comes with little plastic pieces. It's Oregon tackle, and you can actually fill that up with scent. Anything to kind of draw the fish in and hopefully get a hookup. Okay, so and then one last thing here. You can also run line up the top of your spreader here. So we've got one spin and glow attached, but if you really wanted to, you could attach another line right here, have another spreader a little bit higher up the line, and when you have that spreader up the line, you can attach you wouldn't need to add another pyramid weight, but you can just add another spinning Glo here and hopefully hook on to a fish. Thank you so much for being here for my first video. This is actually my first year going for salmon, so this is going to be a journey. I'm originally from the Midwest, so I've been brought up fishing for like walleye and perch and that type of thing, but I moved out to Oregon in 2016. Been doing a lot of lake fishing, trout and stuff like that, but this is the year that I finally decided it's time to start salmon fishing and ultimately just fishing more in general. So keep your eyes peeled on the channel. I plan on filming my journey, even if I get skunked, which is part of fishing. You know, that's why they call it fishing and not catching. And that's kind of the days that you don't catch anything, those days make the days when you do really well, makes those days feel so much better. Yeah, so this is the beginner guide. I actually found all this tackle at Sportsman's Warehouse, but if you're in the Portland, Oregon area, the Fisherman Marine out by Delta Park, those guys are extremely helpful. They provide so much great information and tips. You know, sometimes when you go to tackle shops or bait shops, people kind of aren't as helpful. I will say that that spot out there, those guys actually enjoy helping. But yeah, this is the beginner guide basically to plunking for salmon or spring Chinook. And I'm a beginner, so we'll see how this goes. Thank you so much for tuning in. And oh yeah, one last thing. Any fishermen out there that have any tips for me or suggestions, please feel free to share them below. I'm always out here trying to learn, and I greatly appreciate any information that you're willing to share with me. All right, thank you so much.